Does anybody miss Minecraft? I was thinking about it because I accidentally opened Minecraft instead of my voice recording software, and it made me think, man, I'd love to play some Minecraft one of these days. But every single time I go to play Minecraft these days, I get about, 2 hours in to playing it, and I realize that I don't know how to play Minecraft anymore because it's been like a decade since I properly played Minecraft, and so there's been a decade worth of updates that have just passed me by. And so I just stopped, and it makes me feel sad, actually. So. Welcome back to another episode of Quickfire Topics. I don't have a special little loot crate or a treat box or any sort of sponsorship to start off this video, which is a shame, as that's kind of my favorite segment of these, but I don't have one currently. I probably could have got one if I tried, but I don't care. Whatever. This is the series where I go over topics submitted by you over on Twitter. If you want to get involved, you can. Follow me on Twitter. The link is down below. And sometimes, very rarely, I post a tweet where I say, I'm doing a quickfire topics, give me your topics. That's your cue to reply to it and give me your topics. So thank you to those who did. Appreciate ya. It has been a while since I've done one of these, mainly because I've been working on a lot of things, but this is a good series to, 1, keep up on current events, and 2, keep my channel afloat while I spend too long working on another project that no one will watch. I want to say a big thank you to everybody that did support me, though, on the Horizon Forbidden West video. Thank you so much. I'm really glad everyone was enjoying it. It's still doing bits and bobs here and there, so more and more people are seeing it. So if you are new from the Horizon video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you for clicking on this video, too, because not a lot of people would do that for me. What am I talking about? And since we're talking about projects, I guess that's a really good segue into one of the topics we got here from Callum Kelly, who said, have you ever thought about doing any long-form videos on the GTA games before 6 inevitably releases? I have considered it, yeah. I actually have a really cool idea for a project on GTA 5, which is just to mod it to fuck like I did with Skyrim, and do a similar video where it's like GTA 5 10 years later, what can you do with this game 10 years later? Not just exploring what the base game was, we can obviously explore that, but also like pushing the game to its limits, really modding the fuck out of it graphically, adding things in, just changing the game in a way where it's like, this GTA 5 has been kept alive partly by Rockstar milking it, but also partly by the modding community that support this game insanely, and I would love to replay GTA 5 with a shit ton of mods and turn that into a video where we look at the game. I think it'd be really fun. I haven't played GTA 5 since it came out, so it's nearly been 10 years since I played the game, which is absolutely insane, actually. Now I'm realizing that. Holy fuck. Jesus. Next year, there could be a retrospective on GTA 5 10 years later, and a retrospective on Red Dead Redemption 2 5 years later. How crazy is that? Next year's gonna slap. I've never really thought about it before. But I guess Sonic sort of is Morbius. But Mobius, obviously. Because, We got one here from Tony, who said, what are your thoughts on the rumors of a new Series X/S and PS5 Pro potentially launching in 2023 or 2024? He says, I personally think it's way too soon to be talking about new consoles, especially since so many people can't get a hold of them. Now, that's a good point, and it's an interesting topic because it was sort of leaked, and it's also been rumored that there is like a PS5 Pro and like a new Xbox Series XS coming in 2023-2024. Now, it's the same amount of time between, if it comes in 2024, it's the same amount of time between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. So, I don't think it's out of the question. I think if they go by the exact same model they used in the previous generation of consoles, I think it makes plenty of sense for them to release a new version of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S in 2024. I don't think it's out of the question at all. I think it's actually a pretty good estimate. There's obviously the idea that not a lot of people have got their hands on a PS5 currently. And that's not really true because the PS5 currently has outsold the PS4 sales of the same time frame. So more people have a PS5 now than had a PS4 in 2015. So if you weigh it up like that, plenty of people actually have a PS5. They just can't keep up with the insane demand that there is for the PS5. Either that or there's the conspiracy theory that they did it on purpose because it gets people talking about it. And then when they do release more PS5s, everyone buys more PS5s. But I don't believe in that shit, so I can't comment. But I do think it's reasonable for a new console to come out in 2024. That'll have been 4 years since since this generation began, and I think it's pretty reasonable. I think it feels like a lot shorter, and that's partly because of COVID, making 2020 and 2021 feel so short, and we're already halfway through 2022. Time is just flying by, so it does feel a lot shorter than it did back then. The distance between 2013 and 2017 was... it feels astronomical. It might just be because of our ages, though, you know? In 2013, I was 16. In 2017, I was 20. So, like, the difference between being 16 and being 20 is... It feels bigger than those 4 years. Whereas the difference between 2020, when I was 23, and then 2024, when I'm gonna be 27... That ain't right. Oh god, it is. Bloody hell. It doesn't feel as big of a gap. To go from 23 to 27 feels like a smaller gap than to go from 16 to 20. So I think it feels kind of soon, probably because we're all getting older, alright? Unless, of course, you're 40, in which case, I don't know. RS Nos said, what is a dormant franchise that you'd love to see come back? And also, what are your thoughts on Lord of the Rings Gollum? Well, first things first, you get fucking one, mate. You get one topic. Not one tweet with 20 topics. You get one topic, alright? Keep crushing it, brother. Thanks, man. I appreciate the kind words. As for Lord of the Rings Gollum, I genuinely have no interest. Like, genuinely no interest in Lord of the Rings Gollum at all. They could show it, and it could look really cool when they eventually show, like, proper gameplay footage. I could be like, oh, this actually looks like a cool game, but I just think it's going to be shit. So, I just don't really care. But fair enough if you're hyped. You enjoy it. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. As for a dormant franchise that I'd love to see come back... I think it'd be really cool if they brought back Assassin's Creed, because it's kind of insane to me that they haven't made a game since 2011. I feel like with a franchise that successful and that good, it kind of is very strange to me that they decided to never make another one after Revelations came out. Although maybe it's for the best, because honestly, if they'd have kept making them yearly like they were with Brotherhood and Revelations, they'd have kept pumping them out, maybe they'd have got like really, really stale, and then they'd have like reinvented and like copied another successful video game out there and would have removed all of their key components that like made up the identity of the franchise. But I don't know, that's speculation. So I think it would be cool to bring those games back, because they were really good, you know. Oh, Jas gave me a good one. Okay, so as someone who hasn't played OG7, that's Final Fantasy 7 yet, which I'm going to be doing very, very soon over on my Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. I stream on there very regularly. I'm doing Final Fantasy 6 soon, and then I'm going to be doing Final Fantasy 7 for the first time ever, blind. I don't know what happens in Final Fantasy 7 other than the remake. So it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it, and everyone seems very excited for me to play it. But Jas asks, what are you expecting from Remake Part 2? Haven't heard the perspective of what someone who hasn't played the OG expects yet, so I'm intrigued to hear what it is and how it changes after you play the OG, which is a really interesting question. So I've played Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I haven't played the original Final Fantasy 7, like I just said. So obviously my perspective on like what to expect from Remake Part 2 is going to be vastly different from someone who has played the original 7. So they're going to know what happens, whereas I have absolutely no clue. So going off of the end of 7, so this is a spoiler, if you want to skip over, just I'll probably timestamp the topics, so you can just skip over this one if you want to. So obviously I played 7 Remake. The ending of that game has our main squad leaving Midgar. They're out in the world. So the end of intermission shows them walking further away from Midgar, and they end up in a town called Calm. And that's all I know. So I guess this is sort of the point in, you know, a traditional Final Fantasy game where you're getting out into the open world, so you're going to be able to actually be in the overworld now, which is going to be like your generic Final Fantasy map, like you've got in the first, well, from what I've played, the first 5 games, where you've got like your big map. So what I actually expect is it's kind of going to be like Final Fantasy 3. In Final Fantasy 3, you start off in a smaller area, which looks like it's the whole map, and I guess like that would be the same in like terms of Midgar. You've got your different sectors, and you can kind of go around Midgar. But once you get out of Midgar, you end up in the whole world map, which is way bigger, similar to Final Fantasy 3. Once you leave your little island, you end up in the whole world, which is way bigger and has so much more to explore. And I'd imagine 7 follows a similar structure to that. So once you're out in the open world, you've got a bunch of different areas around your map, which I would imagine are probably like different types of biomes. Like you've got your forests and your swamps and your mountains and your deserts and things like you have from other Final Fantasy games. And you're going to be going around those meeting people, speaking to people, trying to build up your skills and your stats to eventually defeat Sephiroth. See, I don't really know what the goal is after leaving Midgar, because I know they left Midgar to, like, because, you know, well, they were kind of done there, and the goal was to, you know, stop Sephiroth, but I don't really know what they're doing. Like, I don't know if Final Fantasy VII has crystals and follows that same formula, like the rest of the games have followed thus far, or whether this game is totally different from that. Like, Remake doesn't give me the vibes of an original Final Fantasy sort of game. So I don't know if you're going to be going around to this overworld looking for the different crystals to be able to, like, I don't know, gain the power to defeat Sephiroth, or, like, whether there's a greater evil than Sephiroth, or whether you... I genuinely have no fucking idea, actually. This is the first time I've even thought about it. I genuinely don't know, because Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't really tee up anything. It doesn't set anything up where it's like, oh, I know what their goal is. All I know is they've left Midgar, and they don't seem to know what they're doing. They just want to save the world. They don't know where to go, what to do, who to speak to, and so I don't really know exactly where they're going to go, but I expect we're going to meet a bunch of different characters, and we're going to be, like, kitted out. You're going to have a ton of different quests to do, a bunch of bosses to fight, things like that in traditional Final Fantasy fashion. But I'm actually really excited to see, one, how it plays out in the OG, because I want to see exactly what Final Fantasy VII is actually like compared to the first 6, which are all quite similar in their approach. But also, I can't wait to see then how Remake handles that, because I think it's going to be so interesting to see what is maybe a traditional sort of Final Fantasy formula translated into the remake. Sorry, I've been going on for fucking ages. Hopefully I'll cut this down. But I'm very excited to play 7. I'm very excited for 7 Remake Part 2, and I'm interested to see where it goes and how they handle it. So, I don't know. That was a very vague description of what I expect to see, but it'll be nice to come back to this when I have played 7 and be like, oh, I was completely wrong, or wow, I got it right a bit. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, moving on. We got one from Larry White, who says, oh, I like your picture of Paddington. Paddington was really good, that movie. I liked it a lot. I haven't seen Paddington 2. Okay. Thoughts on what's going on with Doctor Who next year? Hearing that Tennant and Tate are coming back was like Christmas for me, and I'm really looking forward to what the new Doctor will do. Yeah, Doctor Who is something that I fucking love. I've always considered maybe making videos on Doctor Who at some point. I feel like I have a lot to say. It's one of those things that, you know, when I was growing up, what do I have a lot of passion for? It was Assassin's Creed and Doctor Who. Those were the two things that I just could not live without. And I think it'll be interesting to make a video on Doctor Who at some point. But in terms of what I expect, I think it's going to be very interesting seeing David Tennant back, seeing Catherine Tate back. I mean, Ncuti being cast as the next Doctor is great. It seems like Russell T Davies has a lot of faith in him, and I fucking trust Russell with Doctor Who. Whatever he wants to do, he can do, because he knows his shit. He knows what he's doing. He's an incredible writer, an incredible writer of Doctor Who as well. So I don't really know what to expect, per se. I'm not, like, specifically hoping for anything in particular. All I'm hoping is that what Russell does isn't formulaic, really. I just hope that he doesn't do the same thing he did. I hope he doesn't just fall back into, we're going to do the exact same thing we did from 2005 to 2009, which I don't think he's going to do. I don't think that's even on the table. I think Russell is very clearly going to do something new, creative, take it in a new direction, while also having those core things that made his era so powerful, which was, you know, a focus on companions, and them as a character, their development, their relationship to the Doctor, the way that he writes the Doctor as a character, the way he writes sci-fi in general and lore and builds out his worlds. Like, so you always know what the different factions are up to. Like, you always knew where the Daleks were. Their stories always followed on from one another all the way through until the end. So did the Cybermen, whereas in the Moffat era, it was sort of like, oh, the Daleks followed on in Victory of the Daleks, but then, oh, now they've just got a fleet and an empire, and that's just normal. And they have an asylum now as well, and they're just at the height of power. How did that happen? Like, are we not going to talk about that? It's like Moffat just wanted to just, like, click his fingers and reverted everything to, like, how it was before the Time War, and so it was a bit weird in that respect, but I really like the way that Russell builds out his universe. So I think that I'm very interested to see how he handles that, and how he handles a new era of Doctor Who. I just think it's going to be fucking sick. I cannot wait. I cannot wait! Only one more Chibnall episode to go, and Doctor Who's going to be good again. Amazing. Oh, we got one here from Red Hood Assassin, who just said the God of War and Horizon TV shows, which I think is super interesting, because we've had a confirmation basically recently that Sony are doing, like, a bunch of, like, TV show adaptations for their big games, like God of War, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, Gran Turismo apparently as well, and a bunch of others in the works. For me, this is... I can't give a proper take on this until I've seen The Last of Us, because that could change my thoughts. I've seen Uncharted, and I thought it was like a very fine action film, but it wasn't Uncharted. It was just like, it plucked a bunch of things from Uncharted. It felt like fucking supermarket own brand Uncharted, where like, you can see where they got their inspiration, but it doesn't have anything that made Uncharted what it was. I mean, I didn't not enjoy it. Like, when I was watching it, I enjoyed it, but I can, like, critically be like, it wasn't Uncharted though, you know? I don't know. So I guess, to me, this is like, I mean, I've never needed these adaptations. I've never, like, played a game and thought to myself, wow, this could be a movie, because, like, the game exists, you know what I mean? Like, I've never felt that one medium is superior to another, like, oh, if a book's really good, they should make a movie of it. Like, no, it's a book, it's a really good book, just let it be a book, you know? Not everything needs an adaptation, and a lot of the times when you try to adapt material, especially, like, books and video games, you end up having to condense it so much. Obviously, TV shows aren't the same as film, and I think you can adapt a video game or a book into a TV show a lot better than you can a movie. It's still one of those things where I'm just a bit wary about it. Like, I just don't think I personally need those. I think it taps into a new audience of people, and that's sort of what it's for. The Last of Us TV show isn't being made for fans of Last of Us the game. It's being made to reel in new people that never would have played the Last of Us games into the Last of Us. It's just casting a bigger net with your franchise, rather than just over a video game audience. It's over every audience possible. People that only watch TV, people that only watch movies, people that only read books, and whatever else. You just cast that net over all of those people, and you can get them, and they're different sets of people. There's not a lot of crossover that's really going to happen when you do these adaptations. I mean, at least, that's not what I think. I don't know. So I guess overall, I don't need a adaptation of God of War. I can just play God of War. But if it gets more people interested in God of War and it's actually good, then fair enough. But I don't think those adaptations are ever going to be made for me, and I don't think I'm ever going to get the same amount of enjoyment out of them as I do out of the games. But, you know, that's just me. I did have lots more, but I think I've been talking for so long, I don't really want to make this video like half an hour. I did that once with the quickfire topics, and it was a bit too long. Well, let's actually do them quickfire then. How about that? Next up, we got one from J-Dog, who says, what would you like to have in a new Metro game? Do you want them to stick to the semi-open world style of Exodus? Just a quick wish list. I think Exodus was actually really good. Don't have any levels that were like the Caspian Sea. Do it like the rest of the game. And you're kind of golden. Honestly, the linear stuff was fantastic in that game. The semi-open world stuff was really nice, especially the very first level. That was absolutely fantastic. Volga was so good. If you want to watch my video on Metro Exodus, you can do. I'll link it in the description if you haven't already seen it. It was a really fun video to put together. But honestly, Metro Exodus won me over on that formula, and I think if you're making a new Metro game, do it similar. Maybe add some more linear segments in there. Maybe don't do the Caspian Sea again. Okay, let's just move on. Ollie says, what are your thoughts on the possibilities of Star Wars being in Kingdom Hearts 4? I think it's pretty much all but confirmed Star Wars is in Kingdom Hearts 4. The forest looking like Endor, I think, is a kind of dumb argument. Every single forest looks like Endor. I was walking my dog through a forest the other day, and I thought to myself, this kind of looks like Endor, because every forest looks like Endor. It's just a fucking forest. However, the ATST foot is kind of undeniable. It looks way too much like an ATST foot shape to not be that. Although I think it's odd they showed this in a trailer that kind of just focuses on Quadratum as a city and a space, and they just kind of threw that in there. Maybe it's to get people excited. I don't know how world travel is going to work in Kingdom Hearts 4. I feel like it's going to be interesting to explore that, because I don't think it's going to be the same as Kingdom Hearts 1 to 3 has been, with Gummy's ship going to different worlds. I imagine that the worlds you're probably going to explore in Kingdom Hearts 4, if the whole thing is set in unreality, is probably going to be the more photorealistic worlds from from Disney's catalog of films. You know, things like Star Wars, things like maybe Marvel. Not that it's something that I really want, but it's a possibility. And maybe National Treasure, do that. I'd love it, please. Oh, that was actually it. That was I thought I had loads more, but I've done them in the wrong order, so that was actually it. That was all the topics. Thank you for joining me for Quickfire Topics. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had a good time here. Come again. Oh, please. I need the business. Thank you. I'm currently working on a project to do a sort of like a serious critique of Sonic the Hedgehog, the original from 1991. I'm playing it on a Sega Genesis emulator. I've got a Sega Genesis controller. It's been really fun. I've played it through twice currently. I'm just gonna play it through a third time, but I want to do it without saving state, because the only way I've been able to do it the first 2 times is I've had to save state, but I want to like do it on stream because I think it's going to take me a while. But I think I've mastered most of the levels, honestly, that I could probably do it, but I think it'll be a fun little challenge. So I'm probably going to stream that. And then I can get started writing the script and put the video out. It's not going to be a super long one. I'd be surprised if it's longer than 30 minutes. But I do have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to break down, some criticisms, some, like, you know, some in-depth analysis of, like, why the game works so well. There's some really cool shit in there that, like, is so impressive for a 1991 game. But that's going to be really fun to put that video together. I'm also going to work on a video delving into the Tomb Raider franchise. I recently bought all the Tomb Raider games, and I'm going to play through every single one of them. And then I'm going to make a video talking about why I feel Tomb Raider had a winning identity and formula that was just stomped into the fucking ground by Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal when they made the reboots. Tomb Raider was fucking great. I love Tomb Raider. I don't like the reboots very much. And I want to analyze that and talk about it, and also give some compliments to the reboots too, if I can find any. Little did you guys know, I'm not just an Assassin's Creed purist, I'm also a Tomb Raider purist, which is like the weirdest thing, but I am that. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for that Sonic video, and I'll see you in future streams over on It's Lasboy. Plenty of stuff going on, and also podcasts on the 4 Pillars Network. Go check those out if you want something to throw on in the background. The 4 Pillars podcast is probably the funniest thing that I do, and it's so much fun. That is definitely the podcast. If I had to give you one thing, if you had to take away one thing from this video to go and watch or listen to, it'd be the 4 Pillars podcast.
Tyler's not here today. It's me, James, and Ethan, and yeah, there's only 3 of us, which is going to be fun. It's always fun when there's one less person.
There's always
Tyler is in a hole that I've put him in. And he's not coming
in the
out.
basement.
Hey man, I'm stuck in a hole! I'm down under!
Throw it on the background, do some gaming, whatever. Just chill out and listen to it. It's fun. It's really fun. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go into the description and click every single link and open it in a new tab. So you have like loads of tabs open at the top and you don't know which one's which and you're clicking through them. You're like, I don't remember opening this one. What is this? I'll see you next time. Bye.